The people of Afghanistan are experiencing some of the darkest moments of a generation. In the wake of years of conflict, and since the takeover by the Taliban in August last year, the country has been plunged into a deep economic, social, humanitarian, and human rights crisis. Let me be clear. What we are witnessing today in Afghanistan is the institutionalized, systematic oppression of women. This women's courage in demanding their rights was striking. Theirs is a struggle amidst unimaginable challenges. Yet they are still bravely calling for their right to be heard.
Personnel in the health services, and also problems, economic problems, and also lack of experience.
The situation is critical. The ban on quality secondary schooling for girls, directly affecting 1.1 million secondary school girls, continues, depriving them of a future. Since March, several other decrees have also been passed impacting women and girls' rights. The enforcement of a strict hijab rule continues. Barriers are in place for women's access to employment, including for female NGO workers performing their duties. There are no opportunities for women to participate in political and public life, and their freedom of movement has been severely restricted. Courageous Afghans, both women and men, are striving to build an equal and just society where the rights of all are respected. As the woman told me during my visit, and I will quote them, "We want to speak to the Taliban ourselves. We know what our people needs." I call on the de facto authorities to honor their commitment to women's rights, to urgently create a meaningful dialogue with Afghan women, and to listen to their voices.
Every session, I just did this, the report on last Monday.
I remind the de facto authorities of their responsibility to protect all Afghans subject to their control. I also remain concerned about the information received of alleged human rights violations and abuses against civilians in the northern provinces, including Panjshir, which have recently seen clashes between the de facto security authorities forces and fighters, the de facto security forces and fighters affiliated with the National Resistance Front. There are serious allegations which require verifications that civilians have been exposed to violation of international human rights law and international humanitarian law, including arbitrary arrest, extrajudicial killings, and torture. I call upon both parties to this conflict to observe restraint and to fully respect international human rights law and applicable international humanitarian law. I urge the de facto authorities to open up civic space, a free and independent press where journalists can operate safely that will be fundamental in this regard. Civil society actors, including women's rights activists and human rights defenders, have been subjected to killings, enforced disappearances, incommunicado detention, attacks, harassment, threats, and arrests. While some have been released, others remain deprived of their liberty, separated from their loved ones, and deprived of their right to speak out. According to the World Health Organization, some 18.1 million people are in need of health services, including 3.19 million children under 5. Compounding all of this is the glaring absence of functioning national mechanism to monitor human rights violations, severely limiting the ability to provide basic protection for the Afghan people, especially vulnerable groups as children, people with disabilities, internally displaced people, minorities, and LGBTQI communities. The path out of crisis for the people of Afghanistan cannot be paved with the efforts of a few. It will require concerted work by the de facto authorities, renewed space for civil society, and support by the international community to uphold the human rights and the human dignity of all Afghans. Let us all commit with urgency to make this happen. Thank you.